Happy Thursday evening, everybody, and welcome to Turn 1. I'm Sean Fitz. Glad you're along for the ride. The limited Xfinity Series returns to Turn 1. We take on Chicagoland here for 100 laps of Xfinity racing. Let's get rolling here with a quick grid walk. Glenn Campbell's going to start on the pole at 44 quick during practice. Turned it into a really decent qualifying effort on the pole here tonight. Steve Ritter, Joey Gentina, Joe Hudson, Charles Woods, your top 5. Then it's Rick Kennedy Jr., Shannon Wood, John Fowler, Rick Swavely, and John Higman Jr. in your top 10. Johnny Parker is going to start 11th tonight. Doug Roth is going to be outside row number 6 in 12th place. Doug Sigmund, R.B. Turner, Kevin Stone, Eli Raposa, Stoney Benfield. Cody DeForge is going to start 18th. James Smith and Kevin England, your top 20. Hey, that's Turn 1 and Monday night Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series legend Kevin England getting ready to roll off the grid here. Mark Schrader, Robert Van Nest, James Smith, Ron Holyfield, and Mike Higley Jr. all rounding out this 24-car field as they get ready to go Xfinity racing here on Turn 1. Glad you're with us again. Thursday night action. And this group, the second week. Last week was a great race at Darlington. I imagine Chicagoland's going to be no different. You're along for the ride right here for the next 5 weeks or so. Do me a favor. Get connected to Turn 1. Follow, like, subscribe. Do what you need to do to get connected. You're not going to want to miss another lap of racing action with this limited Xfinity Series. Behind the pace car, and they're getting ready to go. They're getting ready to unleash here at Chicagoland. A lot of storylines can be made here tonight. So you're certainly going to want to get your snacks and get ready because we're going green. The limited Xfinity Series is live on Turn 1. Glenn Campbell gets him off-road to a clean start. Joey Gentina is going to fall in and settle into P2. Then it's Joe Hudson. Steve Ritter's going to fall back to 4th, but he is not done. He's not single-filed out. He is going to have to fight there alongside Charles Woods for a spot. as they're starting already to get a little dicey here. That's the 98 of Wood. Steve Ritter on the outside there trying to shut the door. Then it's 2x2 on back behind him as Rick Kennedy Jr. is going to slide down to the bottom line and get single filed out as we complete lap number 1. Glenn Campbell out front leads here at Chicago. There we go. I was trying to work on some technical troubles. Either way, we're back and ready to roll here. Most of the top 10 single filed out with an exception or two. Then it's RB Turner, Eli Raposa back here. This is 13th and 14th. They're getting it figured out. Single filed out as they head off into 1. Then it's Doug Simon, Kevin Stone. They're continuing to remain racy here as everybody jockeying for position. Early. As we see here, that's Joe Hudson, Steve Ritter. That's Hudson into the 23, right down to the bottom of the racetrack. He had to let off the gas just a little bit, let the car rotate through. He's going to slide up tight. It's just behind him. That's John Higman Jr. all the way down to the apron. Rick Kennedy on the high line there as Higman's going to move up to 5th place. That's up 5 spots so far in the early going here at Chicago. But out front, Glenn Campbell's on a tear. 1.5 seconds. I'm sorry, not 1.5, but rather 0.5 of a second over Joey Jettina out front. And a pretty big gap back to Steve Ritter. That's another 7-10 gap back behind Jettina. Ritter settled back into that 3rd place spot after starting 2nd. A little bit of a slower start on that 89, but he gets it sorted out. Higman Jr. and Joe Hudson now battling it out. Hudson starting to look to the inside, but Higman, again, on a tear. That's going to make 6 spots up early here, as they are rolling under green flag conditions at Chicagoland for this limited series. If you haven't already done so, or if you haven't heard, this limited series is a really interesting concept, a 2,800 iRating cap. And so you cannot have a better than a 2,800, and you're seeing a lot of names up front here that we don't typically see on turn 1. Glenn Campbell leading, obviously Joey Jettina. We see him pretty decent with top 10 pace, but tonight he's running 2nd. Steve Ritter, we hardly see at all. John Higman Jr., it's nice to see him up in the top 5. Rick Swavely's also moving up. He is sitting in 5th, up 4 spots. Rick Kennedy, we don't hear much of, so really interesting to see some of these other names. The non-Justin Fullers, the non-David Schildhouses up here in this top 5, top 10 battle for this Xfinity Series limited group here with Sim 500. If you want to find more information out about this group and potentially sign up and race, well, I strongly recommend you do so. Head on over to sim500.com for more information. Only 4 races to remain after tonight. Next week we head to Michigan, and then we're going to have Thanksgiving Day off, and then we'll roll out the rest of the season show at Charlotte, Talladega, and Homestead, wrapping up this season here December 18th. So far, free and clear out front. It's Campbell and Jettina, not side by side, but certainly right there hanging tough with one another. Jettina's not let Campbell out of his sights, 4/10 back, but that gap back to now going to be John Higman Jr. as he looks in the inside of Steve Ritter. That gap back there to Joey Jettina is going to be about a 1.3 second gap, so some time to make up from 3rd to 2nd. As Higman has got his eyes set forward again, up 7 spots on the night. Started just in that 10th place position and certainly making up ground here early. Fuel run here tonight again, 100-lap race, and these drivers, I believe they can only get 75% of fuel, so we'll see them have to come down pit road, likely between, we'll call it lap 35 and lap 50. I don't think you can one-stop this race. I think it would be very tight if you were to try it. We'll see what strategy breaks out, and tire wear is going to be a factor. So let's talk about that for just a second. Joey Jettina last time by ran a 32.25. His fastest lap so far tonight, a 31.49. So those tires already falling off 0.8 of a second here just 10 laps in. They will start to stabilize here in just a little while as we will see drivers start to come and go, as we like to say. And, could, maybe if you weren't, maybe if you drove really hard, drove up through the field, pushed the right front a little harder than you should have, well, you're going to pay for that on lap number 20 versus some of the drivers who took it easy, maybe minding their P's and Q's, respecting that right front, not pushing the issue too hard. They may have just a little bit more pace longer through the run, but we'll cover that story when we get there. This is a great opportunity to ride on board, and I think we're going to do it there with the 26 of John Fowler. He's got a good bit of traffic right here in front of him. Let's ride around a lap or two here at Chicagoland. Getting some laps in here. You saw Fowler closing right back to the bumper there of Charles Woods, sitting in ninth. Not a bad run so far, but when you're riding on board, you can really see how bumpy this track can be at times. And everybody's starting to switch lanes up here and find a groove that works best for you. And just in front of Charles Woods, that's Shannon Wood, Rick Kennedy. Wood entered in high there in 3 and 4, then exited down towards the bottom, disrupting that airflow over the hood of the 98. So varying conditions and what the traffic looks like in front of many of these drivers so far here tonight. Taking a look back out front, Glenn Campbell continues to lead. 0.4 of a second over Joey Jettina. An impressive run for Jettina so far tonight. He is hung up there, right there, some of the fastest laps in the top 5 here on lap number 15. So he's certainly hanging in there on lap time, not letting the 44 Chevrolet of Glenn Campbell get too far out. As I believe we just, we're seeing some passes back here a little bit. This is what I was talking about. We're going to start to see some traffic and things start to shift around. That's Shannon Wood leading, and then it's Charles Woods, but then Rick Kennedy and John Fowler side by side back there in front, or back there behind him. Oh, and Fowler's going to sit it in deep. Has to check up just a little bit to avoid getting into the left rear bumper, the left rear quarter panel of the 98. We've seen Fowler make that move. He's been right tight to the bumper of Woods lap over lap. And now starting to see him put the nose there. Hey, Charles, I'm here. Is the message the 26 is sitting the 98. Another message being sent here. That's Rick Swavely. And Steve Ritter right there. Ritter entered in a little lower, trying to get some of that mid-quarter speed. Not going to be able to do it. Swavely's going to move up to the top 5. Sitting in 4th right now, up 5 spots on his night so far. And a fight, I did not expect to see. We saw John Higman Jr. He has been on the move so far this evening. Started back there 9th or 10th. He's up 7 spots on night, sitting 3rd. And working his way forward. Once he got past Ritter, he had about a 1.5 second gap back behind Joey Jettina. And he's ran that gap now down to under or right around a second. I've seen it 0.8 at one point. So Higman continuing to press here, is even sitting in 3rd. As lap times continue to degrade again. Remember, fastest laps for most of these drivers sitting around the 31.4s, 31.5s. And last time by, John Higman Jr. ran a 33.13. So, nearly closing in to a 2.5 territory of tire wear on lap number 20. A full green flag run so far for the limited Xfinity Series here on turn 1. Campbell leading them all, started on the pole. That's not his only pole of the season, by the way. Taking a look, Campbell had the pole last week over at Darlington, but Jimmy Coleman came in and showed him how to get it done. So Glenn Campbell, 2 poles in a row, hoping tonight leads him to victory lane. And right now, the 44 looks like he's got some speed to get it done. Joe Hudson in that 23 Square D Chevrolet. Starting to feel a little bit of pressure from Shannon Wood. He's going to be there. Wood now to the inside as they come down the Brayton backstretch here at Chicago. Side by side as they roll off into 3. Hudson's going to have the speed off the corner here. Wood has shown that it looked like he was able to turn it down a little earlier, but that didn't turn into a pass. And now Hudson's going to shut the door again. Now they're going to switch spots. On the outside will go Shannon Wood. Building the RPM. He wants to get this run down this long backstretch here. But not going to be really there to strike as they roll off into 3. I do want to give a special shout out to Joe Hudson, that 23 car, for all things support here for the limited series. Because of Joe, we've been able to put together the broadcast here. So he's wanted some clean, fun racing on Thursday nights. So much appreciation to Joe Hudson in that 23 car, currently running 6th. Looking through the field, you're not missing too much. Let's look a little further back here. That is Kevin England. He is sitting in the 127 Chevrolet. He's up a spot on the night. Kevin, not really looking to make any big flashes. The man of many people and my broadcasting partner on Monday nights. Right now, sitting at 19th place, just behind Doug Sigmund, but now starting to challenge Doug as he's going to look to the outside. This is Kevin's game. Slow and steady wins the race. He's going to be consistent. He's just going to make his passes. He's going to drive it and be very comfortable, not put the car in any bad position as he drives around Doug Sigmund here. Kevin England looking to move forward here in the limited Xfinity race at Chicagoland. Oh, it's getting racy here. Oh, that car gets loose. That was RB Turner, Johnny Baker. Turner had to get out of it. They saw that car twitch to the left. Those two were very tight on one another. They get it sorted out as Turner moves up to that, as Johnny Baker moves up to that 10th or 11th place position. Again, we're starting to see some folks drive forward while we're starting to see some of those top 5 drivers slide back. As we see John Hickman Jr., Rick Swavely now starting to battle. That 32 car, that's Swavely. Looking to challenge here. Higman, remember, drove up through the field, up 7 spots. Swavely's up 5. These two starting within a row of one another, but have found each other again here, fighting for this top 3 spot. No pressure for Joey Jatina out front, 1.4 up the front. And then out back is about a 9/10 of a second gap over Steve Ritter. So they got a little room to play here, as Higman's going to continue to hold on to that second place position. Or I'm sorry, that third place position, rather. Speaking of second place, Joey Jatina, he has ran down Glenn Campbell quite a bit here. That gap was 0.4 of a second. Well, guess what? It's down to 0.2. We'll call it car lengths at this point. And that'll be 3 as Joey Jatina has ran down Glenn Campbell. And a lot of these drivers will tell you, though, once you get there, you got to be able to make the pass. Well, we'll see if he can get it done. Jatina's been very consistent, as I've talked about. He's been running top 5 lap times all night. Been very steady in that 14 Ford. Running about a lane higher than the 44 through 1 and 2. Down the backstretch they go. He's going to look to the outside once again. Campbell's going all the way down to that white line, the quickest way around this racetrack here at Chicagoland, but it requires you to get out of the throttle more and earlier, as now Jatina's going to take advantage. He was able to keep the RPM in the car We got a battle for the lead here, and it's not much of a battle. Joey Jantina is going to take the lead as they go off into one, but Glenn Campbell's going to try to switch him up a little bit. Not able to complete the crossover. Campbell gets loose. New leader, Joey Jantina. That 14 car out front for the first time tonight. This will be the first lap that Campbell has not led. This will be lap number 30 here tonight for the limited Xfinity Series on turn 1. Looking back through the field, the top 5 is mostly spread out, but it gets a little bottleneck back here. That's Shannon Wood in the 2. Shannon's sitting in 8th place at the moment. Charles Wood starting to look underneath. It is a traffic jam back behind Wood. That's Johnny Barker, Charles R.B. Turner, Doug Roth, Kevin Stones back here. Cody DeForge also in this mix. So pretty much the entire 9th through 14th position right here under an umbrella as they work off the corner here. Then all of a sudden, Charles Woods looks like he has a bad corner exit. He's going to lose 2, maybe 3 spots by the time they get to turn 1. Drive off the corner here, and Woods looks like he is in trouble. Slower on that inside line. He's going to lose another spot. Here comes Kevin Stone around and Cody DeForge. We go up front now, and this is Joe Hudson. And Joe's going to hit the apron. We may be seeing pit stop start. That's Joe Hudson. No, he's got to get it slowed down. The 23 car hits pit road for one of the first pit stops of the night of the top 10. Back up here for the lead. You're not missing anything. Jantina out front, 3 car lengths over Glenn Campbell. We talked about pit stops likely coming here around between lap 35, lap 45. So I suspect we'll see a couple folks elect to dip down pit road. Hudson obviously elected to come down early and get those tires so far clean and green for this Thursday night limited series group. And we were talking about just a little while ago the traffic in the rear view mirror of Shannon Wood. Well, guess what? That is smoothed down quite a bit. Johnny Barker right here has got Doug Roth connected to the bumper. They're moving forward. This Roth actually is now going to challenge to the inside of that 6 car. The 43 of Doug Roth sends it in deep. He's going to drive off the corner. And Roth now moving up to that 8th place spot. That's Stoney Benfield, and looks like, was that Kevin Smith, James Smith, one of the 2? Yeah, that's James Smith up high in the 60. No, actually, that's James Smith in the 10. Either way, I believe that's Smith up there high. Has the 89 of Steve Ritter right there with him. These 2 battling it out, and then out in front of them, that's Benfield and Raposa side by side. They've been that way for a lap or 2 here. As again, the come and go are starting to move around a little bit. Now let's go back to through the top 10. Joey Jantina, he's up 2 spots. Glenn Campbell's down 1, sitting in that 2nd place, but he has not let Jantina get too far out in front of him. And then Rick Swavely sitting in 3rd. He's up 6 spots on the night. John Higman Jr. is up 6 spots on the night so far. John Fowler up 3 spots. Shannon Wood up a spot. Rick Kennedy down a spot, but still right there in the hunt. And then it's Doug Roth. He's up 4. R.B. Turner's up 5. Johnny Barker is up 1. Kevin Stone sitting in 11th. This is a battle in traffic. But Stone is up 4 spots. DeForge is up 6. And then we talked about Kevin England. He wasn't going to let, there was a little bit of a battle back here, 2 and 3 wide. That is Joe Hudson back out on the racetrack after his pit stops, and he's going to be screaming through this field. We were talking about Kevin England slowly making his way through the field. Well, he is up to 14th as we got pit stops. Jantina, our leader, is going to pit. He's going to bring Glenn Campbell down as well. Mike Higley is also going to be on pit roads. We have got top 5 pit stops underway here, lap number 37. That's going to give the lead over to Richard Swavely, John Higman Jr., John Fowler, Shannon Wood, Rick Kennedy, your top 5 now. Doesn't look like anybody else elected to come down pit road. Jatina's going to beat Glenn Campbell off as they're going to merge back into traffic and get our leaders coming down pit road. This is going to set the tone, though. This should bring a bunch of other drivers down. Swavely led the lap last time by, but now they're on the clock. Last time by, Swavely ran a 33.28. Once we see Jatina, Hudson, and others get up to speed here, they're going to be about 2 seconds a lap faster. You've got to keep that in mind as we see Rick Kennedy now come down pit road. He's going to bring Kevin Stone along for the ride. And that'll be Stoney Benfield also hitting pit road. I love that green on that 75 car. Everybody down pit road for stops. Eli Raposa heading to the box and the attention of his crew. Swavely's going to continue to stay out at least one more lap here. As more drivers elected to come down pit road. That's John Fowler, R.B. Turner hitting pit road for the first time tonight. That is the attention of their crew. Meanwhile, out front, Swavely continues to lead here. As we make laps, green flag so far, 40 laps complete, closing in on halfway tonight. Limited Xfinity Series. Here on turn 1, John Higman Jr., Johnny Parker, Cody DeForge, Charles Woods, Mark Schrader, James Smith, all headed down pit road. That is going to leave five drivers on track that have not come down pit road. That's Swavely, Shannon Wood, Doug Roth, Kevin England, and Steve Ritter. But again, you see the advantage of these tires. Watch Glenn Campbell here. He's just going to drive around these guys like they're almost sitting still, especially on quarter exit, as we're going to see Swavely now hit pit road. Steve Ritter's down pit road. 3 drivers remain: Shannon Wood, Doug Roth, Kevin England, your top 3. Have not pitted yet. Once they cycle through, Joey Jatina is going to be your leader, but he's got a 9/10 of a second lead over Joe Hudson. Remember, Hudson came down lap number 31, so 5 lap older tires on that 23 car, while Jatina out front had a great pit stop down pit road. Full time on pit road is a 42.42. Pretty quick there for Jatina tonight. The driver he's most up against competitions, Glenn Campbell, a 41.73 down pit road for Campbell. But right now, he is going to cycle out into third place, assuming he could get caught up to Glenn Campbell. It's about a 5.5 second gap. He would take that spot eventually from Hudson, but we'll have to see how this all plays out. All strategy you got to keep in mind as we see Doug Roth hit pit road. He's going to bring Kevin England down. This should cycle everybody out as Joey Jatina makes a run down the backstretch. He's going to head off into turn 3 and 4. Not a bad night for the 14 of Jatina. So far, it started just inside of the top 3. Was able to get around, was able to drive up to and get around Glenn Campbell. Now continuing to lead some laps here tonight at Chicagoland for the limited Xfinity Series here on turn 1. That said, I do believe we are cycled everybody through. We have Jatina's retaking the lead. Joe Hudson sitting 0.3 of a second back on Jatina. Swavely is sitting in third. A decent move there by Swavely. He was able to get cycled out here in the third. A really quick trip down pit lane for Swavely. John Higman Jr. also had a really good stop. And Glenn Campbell, after starting on the pole, practicing pretty quick, maybe in a little bit of conservation mode here. I don't think he can make it the whole way. There's no way that's possible, but saving those tires. We talked about it at the beginning, how important it was going to be to save those Goodyears. We saw the tire fall off, be about 2 seconds over the fuel run here. And a lot of drivers struggling with those handling conditions. First green flag cycled out. Side-by-side battle here. That was Barker and Michael Higley side-by-side. For 11th, Barker's going to drive by. Let's ride on board Glenn Campbell in the 60 Ford. I'm sorry, that's John, not Glenn Campbell, rather. We're going to ride on board with the 60 of John Higman Jr., sitting in 4th right now as he turns laps here at Chicagoland. Up on the wheel, you hear Higman really having to lift out of it, getting into the corner. Speaking of lifting, that's Swavely squeezing around Joe Hudson. That's for P2 as they've got some ground to make up behind Joey Gentina. Swavely moving into the top 2. Joe Hudson now feeling pressure. That's John Higman Jr. This is a result of those newer tires. John Higman Jr. shows about 10 lap fresher tires over Joe Hudson as Hudson's going to slide to 4th, but it is all the 14th show right now out front. He's out front by over 5 seconds over Swavely. So no pressure on Gentina. He has found his groove here and hoping to hang on. While Swavely, Higman Jr., Hudson, Campbell, your top 5. Looking back here at lap times for Glenn Campbell over the last couple laps, and he's actually in some trouble. Here comes John Fowler underneath our pole sitter. Led the first 30 or so. Now in trouble of losing that 5th place spot. Fowler's going to squeeze by. And then back behind him, RB Turner's also going to take a look. While the door is open and the getting's good, he's going to do the same. With Glenn Campbell sliding back to 7th. Maybe some trouble there for the 44. Not missing any other battles here across really the racetrack. Mostly everyone is smoothed out here a good bit. As our beloved Kevin England would like to say, things are conveyor belted out quite a bit. These green flag pit stops certainly shook some things up. Speaking of shaking some things up, that's Glenn Campbell, Kevin Stone. They're also looking to get while the getting's good. That Stone is caught up there with Campbell. And then now, here comes Shannon Wood, Rick Kennedy Jr. in the mix. While that was Shannon kind of caught up behind. They're going to make it 3 wide coming off the corner all the way down to the apron. They're going to have to go. That is Wood all the way down there. They're not going to get it sorted before turn 1. Meanwhile, Campbell's going to take to the high line and back out of it just a little bit. Kennedy's going to squeeze by, so will Kevin Stone. As everybody starts to smooth it out, Johnny Baker's going to take as well here. That's going to put our pole sitter out of the top 10 right there. Glenn Campbell losing 10 spots so far tonight, back at 11th. Taking a look back forward, Gentina continues to be up front, but that gap is starting to close. The 32 of Richard Swavely about half a backstretch away, and that gap once nearly 5.5 seconds, now down to 3.1. Swavely on the move forward. He's up 7 spots on the night, sitting P2. He'd like to get up there and battle that 14 car. Those two drivers, Swavely has 5-lap fresher tires than Joey Jatina. Remember, we saw Jatina and Glenn Campbell come down pit road. I won't call it early, but certainly earlier than the rest of the field by a couple laps. And, well, you're starting to see those lap times pay dividends there for Swavely. But that'll eventually balance out. Last time by, Swavely ran a 32.6. while Joey Jatina ran a 33.1, so 0.7 of a second a lap is going to quickly catch up to Swavely, but how long can he maintain that pace? And then once he runs down that gap to Jatina, which is 2.7 seconds now, can he get by him? That'll be a really interesting question. We're not going to be talking about that gap, though, for long in time because car leaks are going to come into the equation. Swavely has started to get fairly big here in the mirror of Joey Jatina. Looking back through the field, this is a side-by-side battle. I believe that is Shannon Wood, RB Turner. They're side-by-side working through here across the stripe. So far, clean and green. Lap number 57. Of the limited Xfinity Series here on Turn 1. Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Fitz. Glad you're with us for more racing action here tonight at Chicagoland. 5 races remain after tonight. We're going to head on over to, I believe it was Michigan next week. Let me just double check that, my handy dandy. Yes, 4 races remain after tonight. We're going to head to Michigan and then take Thanksgiving week off and then head on over to Charlotte, Talladega, and Homestead to wrap up the season December 18th right here on Turn 1. Make sure you get tuned in, subscribe, like, follow, do what you need to do to get connected to the race. We'd love to have you there for all the racing action. We also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series. 2 races remain over on the Cup Series side. That is Monday nights right here on Turn 1. The Sim 500 Premier League, or Premier Group. The Cup Series live every Monday night here on Turn 1 for the remainder of their season. Mark Schrader, Ron Holyfield. This is side-by-side. I'm sorry, that's Schrader and Charles Woods. Woods on that outside lane in the 26 of that Crown Royal car. He's going to lose that spot. Schrader's going to drive by on the outside. Woods going to look down to the inside just a little bit, but not going to dive it down there off into the corner. Woods back down pit road, lap number 40. Closing in on about 20 laps of green flag action on those tires. We should see pit stops start to cycle through here. We'll call it lap 70 or so as John Fowler, Joe Hudson battle it out. That's for 5th place. So that's for 4th. As Fowler's going to move forward, and Shannon Wood's going to look underneath the 23 Square D machine as well. Wood's going to have that inside advantage, take it all the way down to that white line. Again, that closest, the shortest way around the racetrack. Just depending on the car characteristics and how it's handling, that can be the fastest way around. But at times, we've seen drivers find that outside groove, potentially helping them out and getting the car to get quarter off speed. And we have seen the 14, our leader, Joey Jatina, do that. He's going to prove me right there. He's going to run about a lane and a half off the wall. He has to lift earlier, but he can carry more momentum through the corner. That sets him up to have a really strong back-to-throttle moment there before getting the car squared back up and down the straightaway on that outside line. Also not pinching the car down too hard, so the right front not looking too stiff or burnt up there. Joey Jatina trying to save that tire a little bit while Richard Swavely back behind him 1.4 seconds, 1.5 seconds now. A gap once 5+ seconds is merely down to a second and a half here as we start to close in at the end of the second green flag run of the night. Joey Jatina came down pit road lap number 36, so at this rate, he would be roughly 7 to 8 laps away from another trip down pit road. And one stop away here from finishing this 100 laps out for this limited Xfinity Series here on turn 1. You're going to need pretty much perfect execution from here on out. Swavely, again, as I mentioned, has about 5-lap better tires that he was able to drive for, but that gain started to slow a little bit last time by. Remember, we talked about those tires starting to equalize out a little bit. Swavely fastest in the top 10, a 33.09 for Swavely, while Jotina ran a 33.18, but remember that gap of speed used to be better. That delta for Richard Swavely was at 1.4 5/10 now. Barely a tenth as they come back by through the trap. A 33.04 for Swavely, a 33.13 for Jotina. Starting to get a little racy back here. That's Doug Roth, Johnny Barker. Barker on the outside, Roth in that famous Richard Petty looking number 43. Right down to the bottom of the racetrack goes Roth. Barker to the high side. Roth able to get in there just a little bit deeper on quarter entry, but he can't rotate the quarter, and now Barker is going to be there on that outside line. He's going to take the long way around, but ultimately he's going to be credited with that position, that lap, and he's going to shut the door, moving himself back into the top 10. Johnny Barker able to get that 10th place spot away, but Doug Roth says, hey, hold my beer, I'm not done just yet, as they come down the backstretch. About a spot behind Barker. Side by side as they go off into 3 and 4. Looking through the rest of the field, this is Joe Hudson. Remember, Joe Hudson was one of the first ones to come down pit road lap number 31, so we should see him come down any moment now. He has turned that strategy into a 7th place running position currently. He's got Rick Kennedy right there on the bumper, but those two have been running about equal lap times. I'm sorry, that is Joe Hudson and Kevin Stone, rather. Hudson just hanging in there, able to ran up to second at one point on that pitch strategy. It's fallen back to 7th, but not a bad fall off for the 23. We're going to go back up front, take a look at Joey Jotina. And that driver on the hunt for that top spot now really starting to get bigger in the mirror is Richard Swavely. That gap now down to right at 1 second for those two. Kevin Stone's going to drive by Hudson. Rick Kennedy also going to look and take advantage of that opportunity while Hudson's out of rhythm. Coming down the front stretch. Doug Roth, Johnny Barker all still battling it out a little bit here, but just behind Joe Hudson, who is now being threatened to removed out of the top 10. Here comes Roth. Things got tight off a 4. They stay out of each other's way, though. Hudson's going to go all the way down to the apron. Roth going to take the outside line. This is going to put Hudson on an inside groove right there. Having to lift to rotate the car. The grip's starting to fade on that 23 machine as Doug Roth squeezes by. Johnny Barker's going to follow through. Here comes Steve Ritter. Ritter has 10-lap fresher tires than Hudson as well. Again, keep in mind, that 23 Joe Hudson machine was down pit road on lap number, Hudson was on pit road on lap number 31 as we've got pit action. John Higman Jr.'s hit pit road. Mark Schrader's also coming down pit road. So second round of green flag stops starting to materialize, and here comes Joey Jotina. He's got to get it slowed down. He's going to get down there, but boy, that was close. Our leader, Joey Jotina, to 14, is going to hit pit road for what could be his final stop of the night with 29 laps to go. Swavely is going to take the lead here as he moves down the backstretch. No threats out back. 8 seconds off of Shannon Wood, so no reason to push the issue here. He wants this to play out. He doesn't want to see any cautions come out. He just wants to be able to drive his race as Eli Raposa comes down pit road for their final stop of the night. John Fowler is going to come down pit road. So this is where you've got to make some decisions as Doug Roth also joins them. Swavely out front. Now, we talked about it. The tire wear here. You've got to make a really smart decision. We saw that green flag run play out a full run there as Jatina came down pit road. He split the race pretty much 36 and 36 or so. And now, if you're the driver of that 32 of Richard Swavely, you've got to decide, can you drive yourself forward and only a handful of laps, we'll call it 25, 24 laps as we see everybody else start to hit pit road. Do you have enough in the tank to be able to go do that? Because Jatina is going to be coming quick here. He's going to be building a gap. And while you're going to have those newer tires, you're going to really run him down and then get by him. And Swavely electing to stay out here with 26 to go at Chicago. Steve Ritter down pit road. Joe Hudson, Cody DeForge leaving his box, getting service complete. Charles Woods of the 26 Crown Royals also going to hit pit road. As we're starting to see only 9 drivers remain to cycle back out, and here comes our leader, Richard Swavely. He's going to hit pit road for what could be his final time tonight. Shannon Wood on the apron. It's also going to come down pit road. Pitting from second, RB Turner is going to inherit the lead here, going to lead one. Johnny Barker is going to move into the top 3. Stoney Benfield as well. Doug Sigmund's going to stay out here. He's feeling some pressure. That's Kevin England. Worked himself up to a 5th place spot so far. These drivers, especially Kevin England, one of the later pitting drivers, lap number 43. Now, Stoney Benfield going to come down pit road. Gets it slowed up there at the timing line. A little bit of a battle here, side by side. That's England now looking on the inside. But Joey Jatina, he's on the move. Last time by, Joey Jatina ran a 31.57 as we saw our leader, RB Turner, come down pit road. Johnny Parker's also going to join him. That's going to let Kevin England, if he can get around here before it's all said and done, he may be credited with leading a lap here. All the way down the front stretch. No! Kevin's going to not lead that lap. He's got Doug Sigmund out back about 0.2 of a second there. As Kevin England's looking to lead one here before it's all said and done. But Joey Jatina is going to cycle out your leader, John Higman Jr., Richard Swavely. Your top 3 once the final 2 drivers come down pit road. This will be your race for the checkered flag here between those 3 drivers. That 127 Kevin England machine is going to be credited with leading that lap. Nice job, Kevin. Now come down pit road. Get your 4 good ones at a Goodyear, at a Klondike bar. Goodie bar, whatever the reference was to Days of Thunder. Either way, Kevin England's going to lead one here before it's all said and done. Doug Simmons sitting second. Joey Jatina, now this shows you just how quick Jatina is here tonight. He is looking out front, and he's already caught up to Doug Simmons, Kevin England. Within 4 seconds, Sigmund's going to hit pit road. England's going to stay out. But Joey Jatina's only 5.5 seconds back off Kevin England, and Kevin's not stopped yet. That just shows you how much quicker these newer tires can be. And Jatina, last time by, ran a 32.09 to Kevin England's 33.47. Those lap times certainly closing in quickly here. Higman, this is where the battle's going to pick up, sitting 2.4 seconds back off of Jatina. Higman had a little bit of trouble on quarter entry there. Jatina able to squeeze out another 10th in 3 and 4. And then it's Richard Swavely. Swavely's sitting 4 seconds back from Jatina. Remember, these two drivers pit within 4 laps of one of each other. Swavely has 4 laps fresher tires, but he's going to run out of time here, I think, before it's all said and done. He's going to have to drive pretty hard and pretty aggressively. Now down to 4.1 seconds, but only 20 laps to go. You're going to have to close in about, oh goodness, what do we want to call that? 3/4 tenths a lap to get up there and then get by who will cycle out to be our leader. That is Joey Jatina. Well, we've got an opportunity. Let's ride on board with Kevin England. I'm not sure when he's going to be coming down pit road. Not going to be this lap, but see if we can get a pit road entry out of that 127 car before this is all said and done. Kevin sets the quarter up, rolls it down in there off the gas, settles the car right there, splitting that groove, that seam. And then back on the throttles and come down the backstretch here. Not all the way out against the wall for England. Going to lift pretty early. Right down to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to stay out another lap even. We'll come back to that in just a second. That's Richard Swavely on screen. He just got by John Higman Jr. Swavely moving forward in a quick and hurry here tonight. He heard me say we don't have many laps to go. Well, 17 remain and Swavely's on his way forward. He's still got 2.3 seconds to run down Jatina. England's going to stay out another lap. That driver on a little bit of a different strategy. He was one of the last cars to pit last time, wanting to see the caution come out so he could maybe save some track position. Jatina's not gotten to him yet, about 1.4 seconds. England would love to see the caution flag fly here before it's all said and done so he can get that freebie pit stop. That'd bring everybody down pit road. Track position would be key for the 127 Chevrolet. He's going to work another lap. Joey Jatina back there has Richard Swavely starting to close in. What was a 2.2 second gap with 17 to go. Now with 15 to go, that gap has gotten real small, 1.3 seconds. Looking through the remainder of the field, you're not missing really anything. Mostly single filed out with the exception of Stoney Benfield, Cody DeForge. That's for 14th position. DeForge gonna, that's Benfield gonna send it in there on the inside. Trying to capture that spot. He is down the back stretch. Doug Roth, RB Turner battling off on the 3 and 4 end here. Roth are going to squeeze by. RB Turner's going to squeeze by Roth. Now RB Turner going to set his sights for Steve Ritter here. That would be for 8th place. Back out front, Jatina now has caught Kevin England. And so has Richard Swavely. So this is going to be a battle for the lead here. And unfortunately, Kevin England's opportunity for a caution to come out is not going to come to fruition, as Jatina now is going to have to get around him quickly. He's going to work the outside. But here comes Richard Swavely. He's going to work around Kevin England now. Kevin's going to move out of the way for these drivers. He knows these front two racing for the win here tonight. And now Swavely's closed that gap up 2 tenths. It's not time anymore. It's car links, and it's about 5. So 12 laps to go as they come across the stripe. Kevin England's going to head down pit road for his final tires and service tonight. Can Joey Jatina hold off Swavely? Can Swavely get around Jatina? They've been running with similar lanes on the track. Somebody's going to have to figure something out. Jatina's been dedicated to that outside line most of the evening there. Swavely looking about a lane and a half lower through 3 and 4 this time. But you've caught him. Now what do? Do you just sit there and wait? Or Do you pounce and try to drive away and make him chase you? Swavely had a great entry off into 1 and 2. That's going to put it within half a car length. We could see a battle for the lead down here, 3 and 4. Jatina back to the high line, splitting the seam there. Jatina seems to have 3 and 4 sorted out. He's going to take it all the way down here to that white line, not letting Swavely dictate where he goes, but Swavely's quarter entry into 1 is strong. It's going to be a drag race down the backstretch. A battle for the lead with 10 to go. Richard Swavely is going to look on the outside, get the pass, or inside, get the pass done. Joey Jatina now is going to sit it down to the bottom of the racetrack, put Swavely on the high side. Side-by-side battle for the lead. Swavely's going to be able to get it done on the outside. He's going to be credited with leading that lap. 9 to go here at Chicago. Riding each other's tire tracks there. Jatina right behind Swavely. I've heard rumors that this driver of the 32 had some speed. Well, right now, he is showing that is the case. Sitting out front, Jatina. And starting to pull away here. As they come across the stripe, that's going to be 8 to go. We look through the remainder of the field. You're not really missing anything in the top 10. Everybody's mostly single-filed out. This is Stoney Benfield, Cody DeForge. Oh, DeForge right down to the apron. No, sorry, that wasn't DeForge. Who was that? Was that Kevin England? That was Kevin England, and he got a little bit of that apron there and is going to move down and get loose. He's able to collect it back up, but a little bit of a moment there for Kevin England. Coming across the stripe, Swavely is going to get the 7 to go from the flagman, and he is just running his own race. Last time by a 33.03. Jatina's 33.12. We've seen Jatina run down drivers before, but not by after leading. Had 2 pretty solid pit sequences, but Swavely, the gap was just too small, and now, after staying out 4 extra laps, the Jatina is using up those good years and starting to march away here. 3/10 and growing. Swavely leads with 6 remaining. Ooh, a big wiggle there. Was that Ron Holyfield? Who was that? That was Eli Raposa. Had a big wiggle there. Now going to the outside. That's England going to look to the inside. England not going to be for position. He is going to be a lap down. Remember, that driver came down pit road with 12 to go, and he's got those brand new Goodyears on that car. He's going to feel like Superman here for the closing laps. Not a ton of positions for him to make up, though, unfortunately. All eyes on the front here is Swavely and Jatina. That gap has not really grown since that pass happened. Jatina's kept him within closing rights here. Is going to be 5 or 4 to go, rather, this time by. Down the backstretch. Swavely going to lead this one. 3 to go here. At what's been an exciting green flag race. Clean and green the whole way for the limited Xfinity series. And it's been the 14 and the 32 at the top. But we cannot forget about John Higman Jr. That driver hanging into a top 3, up 7 spots on the night. He's got Shannon Wood out back, but no pressure. Higman going to have a really good result here if he can hang on. Swavely's going to have a great off of turn 4. Jatina's actually sliding back now another 10th. 2 laps to go here for the Sim 500 Limited Series. A little bit of side-by-side. That is Joe Hudson and Stoney Benfield. Benfield going to take it all the way down to the grass. Hudson's going to move into that move into that 11th place spot. And he's got his eyes on Johnny Parker to be able to claim a top 10 here tonight at Chicago. Swavely's going to come across the stripe, though, the final lap. 1 to go here tonight for the 32 car. Down the backstretch one final time. No chance for a caution to come out here now. Richard Swavely qualified in 9th. Drove his way through the field. Made the pit strategy work. Richard Swavely is going to be your victor here tonight at Chicago. Joey Jantina, John Higman, your top 3. Then it's Shannon Wood, John Fowler, R.B. Turner is going to finish 6th. Kevin Stone, Steve Ritter's going to finish 8th. Doug Roth and Johnny Parker, your top 10. We're going to step aside. We'll get ready to call some post-race coverage and talk to these drivers while the 32 heads to victory lane here at Chicago. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Another race in the books here tonight for the Sim 500 Limited Series on turn 1. Green to green, no cautions here tonight. A great run out of these drivers. We're going to start with some post-race coverage. We'll talk to third place, John Higman Jr. John, congratulations. A solid run here tonight in that 60 car. Walk me through your evening and how was this green flag run? A pretty exciting race.
It's kind of tiring. I'm kind of sweating a little bit. Really, everything came down to basically that first start of the race. If I wouldn't have done what I did, I probably finished back there where I was at, honestly.
John, we saw you. Yeah, we saw you drive through the field quite a bit here. Walk me through your pit strategy. Were you expecting this to go green the whole way through? And if so, or had you given consideration to strategy at all, and what that was going to look like before the evening started?
Well, I knew we had 2 sets of tires, so I was, initially planning on pitting twice. So, I don't know. This track's so crazy sometimes. I mean, you never know what you're going to get as far as like cautions or not. But lately the racing's been really good, and we haven't had any cautions. So, I just tried to split it up as evenly as possible. Just see what the other guys were doing, really.
Well, able to split it up and turn it into a pretty strong finish. Coming into tonight, it looks like, let me take a look. Where were
Probably
you
last.
at, good sir? You were sitting 22nd in points, so this is going to be a decent a night for you from a points perspective.
That's better than I thought I was, so that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, John, listen, congratulations. Thank you for the time tonight. We'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks.
Absolutely. John Higman finished in third here this evening. Let's quickly talk to race winner Richard Swavely. Richard, I heard you had some pace, and tonight you showed it. Brought home the checkered flag here at Chicago. Different pit strategies in the books, and waiting a little bit later on those tires than everybody else. Walk me through your evening. What did you expect, and how refreshing is the reality?
I was kind of concerned first. I was concerned after qualifying. I'm sure if the people that have raced on here have went out, did a qualifying run, and you're like, wow, that was absolutely terrible, and was not a fan at all of the time that your car put out. And then the biggest thing is that I stayed out late on the first pit stop, the first pit cycle. And I was kind of concerned because I wasn't able to reel Joey back in before the second pit stop. And I was like, oh, maybe he has some pace. And he pitted early. And I guess he pitted a little earlier than he thought he could. And, I ended up pulling kind of a good old little slide job on him there like 9 laps ago. So it was fun.
I know the racing seemed like it was on a pretty solid caliber here tonight. How difficult was it to work around this racetrack? It looked like the car was in the track enough, but the seams and the bumps here at this Chicagoland racetrack seems to give you guys a good challenge.
Yeah, the car to me felt a little tighter than I'd like a car to run. But I mean, that's probably a little personal preference. I like a free car, like the car we had at Vegas. Something about that track with the newer stuff is that car is just really fun to drive at Vegas. But yeah, this is actually a really good group of drivers, especially with the iRating cap. I've had a lot of fun this weekend. It's been kind of a roller coaster. I've been bitten more by yellow flags than I have by any drivers. So this is a blast. Second one on the year or the season so far. So yeah, I'm having a ball over here.
Yeah, I was about to say second win of the season, and this moves you into second place in the points. Only sitting, it looks like 16 off the lead with RB Turner. So certainly looking really good. Anything you picked up as we look ahead to Michigan next week here from Chicago, or is it really pretty much a full reset and go back to the drawing board for next week?
Michigan actually kind of the way like the top line likes to develop there kind of drives a lot like Chicagoland in my opinion. So should be pretty fun. Hopefully, like I said, I don't do any pre-practice or anything for these races. I kind of just get in, see what the car feels like and goes. But if the setup's a little freer than it is this week, then I'm gonna have even more fun at Michigan.
Well, it sounds like everybody should be on notice. Richard Swavely bringing home the victory here tonight. Richard, we appreciate the time. Congratulations, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Our winner tonight, bringing it home here, and you heard him, looking to turn it into something at Michigan. Let's quickly turn to Joey Gentina. Joey, congratulations, P2 here tonight. I suspect, though, that wasn't the result you and that 14 car were looking for.
No, but it's a good finish for us. I've been struggling pretty good here with this series. Not so much. It's been pit road, so I made it down pit road without a speeding penalty tonight, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Absolutely, sir. And that being said, you had a pretty strong run there. That middle of the race, right after the first set of pit stops, came down pit road. I wouldn't call it early, but earlier than some, including Richard. And then was able to hold a bunch of folks off during that second cycle. What was going through your mind when you came off pit road with those final sets of Goodyears on? Any thoughts of conservation? What was happening there? And ultimately, as you saw the 32 car start running you down.
I thought I was going to be able to hold him off based on that last run, but 5-lap differences on tires is a lot in this car. Truck maybe not so much, but I was worried about the 60 when I saw Higman jump in early. I guess it's all PTSD from last night's truck race. I had a great race going and guys pitted early and they jumped me and I never could catch back up, and was running really well. So I felt like tonight I was like, okay, Higman pits, let's cover John, and then let's hope the 32 stays out and then we pull him 6-7 seconds. It didn't quite work out that way. I probably should have stayed out longer and focused on just because I think he got me down to under a second. The 32 did on the lead. So when he's really started closing in on me, that's when I was going to jump off and try to gap them again with a stop. But it didn't work out. But it was a great race, caution-free. I think that's the second caution-free race this week at 7,500. I think overall we've had probably 5 caution-free races out of the last 7 in the league. So we are on one hell of a roll right now. So I can't be upset about second with the great racing we've got going on.
You certainly cannot, sir. I was just about to say it was phenomenal racing all over the racetrack here tonight. Very clean and respectful. Let's quickly look ahead. Michigan next week. We talked to Richard about it as well. Seems like this track may lend itself a little bit to Michigan, especially on that higher line. Anything you learned tonight that you can take into next week?
Don't pit early, and we should be okay.
Don't pit early. You heard it. The boss man, Joey Chatina, bringing home P2 here tonight. Joey, thanks for the time. It's good talking to you.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
With that, we're going to wrap up race coverage here tonight for Sim 500 in the Limited Series on Turn 1. A great show, as Joey mentioned. Caution-free, flag to flag here. I'm really excited to be part of this group and calling these races on these Thursday nights. Speaking of, next Thursday evening, we head to Michigan. The foothills and the farmlands of Michigan for some more limited Xfinity Series action right here on Turn 1. 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. We look to see you there. On behalf of the League admins, I'm Sean Fitz. We appreciate you being here. We'll see you Monday night for more Cup Series action. The Cook Landscape Group Cup Series comes live alongside Kevin England on Monday evening. Until then, everybody, have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.